the house was filled with black smoke, a thick black smoke. And I was coughing, water coming from my eyes. And the thought that ran through my mind was, you know, they say it's not the flames that kill you, it's the smoke. At that point, I panicked and I said, let me get out of here. I was really excited to purchase my first home. Now, I had lived at home with my parents. I'd gone away to college, was in the dorm. I had a roommate afterwards. I'd gotten married. My wife and I had bought a house. But this was going to be my house. And, you know, as an only child, I was finally going to be empowered to be able to say, get the hell out my house. Oh, yes. I embraced my inner only child. I swanked the crib out, painted it, got some new furniture, upgraded the appliances. I was really proud of it. I was living my best life. And my real estate agent wanted to come by and check it out. I said, yeah, man, come on. And so we're sitting in the house, and I'm talking about how much I love it and appreciate his help. And we start to hear a crackling noise. And I'm like, no, that's the guys next door. You know, he's doing some work on his house. Don't worry about it. But the noise got louder. We finally came out the room and looked down, and there were flames coming from my kitchen. It was a fire. I was kind of shocked. Thought maybe the stove had caught on fire. I was really confused. Well, my real estate agent, knowing what to do, ran out the house. I'm thinking, well, let me go save a few things, and then maybe I'll go get the fire extinguisher and put it out. And so I went upstairs, and by the time I got to the top of the stairs and grabbed my cell phone, the house was filled with black smoke, a thick black smoke. And I was coughing, water coming from my eyes. And the thought that ran through my mind was, you know, they say it's not the flames that kill you, it's the smoke. At that point, I panicked and I said, let me get out of here. And I started to run down the stairs with my laptop, trying to dial 911, and I tripped and I fell. And I was at the bottom of the stairs. I had lost my cell phone. And at that point, I could hear my real estate agent outside saying, yo, man, get the fuck out your house. Get out your house, it's on fire. I could feel heat behind me, an intense heat. And I dare not look to see how close the flames were to me. As I laid there on top of my laptop, searching for the cell phone, I was also remembering to stay low. And I crawled to the front door. And as I got there, I could hear the sirens in the background. And I walked around to the back of the house, and I saw flames, angry flames, dancing between my house and my neighbor's house. And the heat was so intense that the houses on the other side of the alley with aluminum siding started to melt. I was devastated. Here was my dream house going up in flames, and I had no idea why. Well, the fire investigators came and told me that 2 firemen fell through my roof, had to be taken to the hospital. It was a pretty intense fire. They also shared with me that the source of the fire were my trash cans underneath the porch. I said, well, that can't be, because the trash cans stay out in the alley. They don't stay underneath the porch. And they said, no, sir, your trash cans definitely were under your porch, and they were the source of this fire. They asked, maybe are you having a beef with some neighbors? Or you got a crazy ex-girlfriend? I chuckled. I was like, oh, you know me. You know I got a crazy ex-girlfriend, of course. And I stopped when I realized what they were saying, and I asked, do you mean somebody did this deliberately? Somebody, it was arson? Somebody wanted to burn my house down or even hurt me? And then I thought about the crazy ex-girlfriend. I hadn't seen her in a few years, but I remember when she caught me in bed with another woman. So maybe she wasn't that crazy. Maybe she was angry. Maybe she was humiliated. Maybe she just was seeking revenge. After all, there were a couple of times when the woman that she caught me with had out-of-state plates on her car, so it was pretty recognizable when she was over my house. And on one occasion, we came out and the passenger side of her car was keyed from front to back. On another occasion, the tires were flat on her car. Now, we never actually caught the crazy ex-girlfriend, or should I say angry ex-girlfriend, but all the evidence seemed to point to that. And at that moment, I began to think about what was my responsibility. Had my, frankly, poor behavior had caused this fire? Had she finally exacted the ultimate revenge? Was this my fault? I was numb. Well, I came back the next day. The house is all boarded up, the walls blackened, the appliances in twisted, grotesque mess. My CDs melted into one big, giant blob. And a tear came to my eye as I thought about, again, was this girlfriend that angry? And did I even know where she was? I hadn't seen her in years. I didn't even know how to reach her. And what would I do if I reached her? Apologize? I think it's a little late for that. And then maybe she didn't do this. I was just uncertain. And for 48 hours, I was unable to sleep, thinking about what role I had played and what had happened and all that I had lost. And frankly, I was a bit relieved when the fire investigators came and said it was some neighborhood kids playing with matches. They had thrown them in your trash can, kicked the trash can over up underneath your porch. As I said, I was relieved because at least it wasn't my fault, and I also was kind of pleased that it wasn't her either. But it didn't change the result. I had lost everything. Pretty much all I owned I could put in the back seat of my car. But I have to tell you, there was a certain amount of freedom that I felt, not being held to all these material things. And really, at the end of the day, what was most important about life was the way you conduct yourself and how you treat others. You make mistakes, and life is about overcoming these mistakes. And you have to be able to ask for forgiveness and, on occasion, grant forgiveness. That was really the key to a happy and joyful life. And I was mindful of the joy I had over the next 18 to 19 months as my house was reconstructed, because I was living in a 2-bedroom unit at the Park Hyatt. I had the Blue Duck Tavern with room service. I had valet parking, continental breakfast every morning, all paid for by my insurance company. The house was rebuilt to my specifications. I put a skylight in. I had the washer dryer moved up to the second floor living area. And oh yeah, I enclosed the backyard. As a matter of fact, I remember my mother said, boy, it's kind of strange. You're going to come out ahead. I was like, yeah, I learned something. When the heat is on, I'm going to be cool.